So in this video I'm going to show you how to put in an invisible zip using the proper invisible zipper foot. So as you can see with this particular foot you've got two grooves there and there, and that's what the teeth of the zip actually sit into on either side, and then you've got one hole in the foot through the middle. So as normal, I have sewn up the bottom section of my seam as far as my notch. There you go. And then I've pinned my zip in place, taking into consideration my 1.5 seam allowance, because I want my stitching line to be exactly on the 1.5 seam allowance. So if I tuck that in there, there's my 1.5. So I'm rolling the teeth back to allow for the 1.5. Okay. And then basically make sure to have the two threads coming from the back, through the back of the zip, through the back of the foot in the machine. Place, when you're doing the left side of the zip like this, you use the left side of the foot, and then the other groove is for the other side of the zip, if that makes sense. So basically you want the stitching to be on this side of the zip, so obviously you need to put the grooves of the zip into the left hand side of the zipper foot. Pop that down by rolling it out a little bit as well, and that'll get you even closer. Now I do already have a line of stitching in here just to make it easier for myself for the camera so it's not moving on me. And I'm just going to turn on my machine and do my little back tack. Sometimes, depending on the zip, when you're going over this little plasticky bit, it can be bigger or smaller depending on the make of the zip. But if you need to get over that bump, sometimes you just need to pull the thread ever so slightly at the back and help it through to stop it sticking on that little plasticky bit. And then as you work down, the foot will automatically roll the teeth back. I like to keep a little bit of tension when I'm working. So I'm literally kind of holding at both sides, and it just helps to keep everything nice and smooth. And now when I get down to this point here at the bottom of my zip, I'm going to pull the zip out here. This is the other half of my back, and basically what I'm aiming for is I want my line of stitching to meet this point exactly. So I'm not sure if I have that on camera, so I'll just move up a little bit. So I want my line of stitching to line up with my seam. Okay, so that was my seam line of stitching there. So I want to make sure that the stitching on my zip hits that point exactly. So I'm placing my zip down, rolling the teeth, and I'm allowing for that. The beauty of the zipper foot is that it's got a really flat edge here, so you can get really close to the actual centre back seam of your dress. A few little back stitches and then pull it out. And then just to show you, when you go to zip up, it's really, really close, like that. Okay, and now we're going to do the other half. Little tip I like to do is actually notch my zip exactly at the notch point there, and I just find it easier because it helps me guide my zip in correctly. Okay. So again, pin your zip in place, allowing for your 1.5 seam allowance. And I'm making sure that the zip notch is lined up with the notch on my dress, because it will be very easy to kind of move that up or down a wee fraction as you pin it in. So by having the notch on the actual zip itself, at least you know you can line it up perfectly. The other thing I always do is I always work from the top down on both sides. I never go from the top down on one side and then up from the bottom on the other side. And that's why also you have the 2 grooves on the zip, because now when I place this side of the zip underneath, I'm going to be using the groove on the opposite side of the foot. So again, rolling the teeth out to get that in nice and tight. So on the first side we used this one, this groove, so now we're using this groove. So back tack to start off, and as I say, if needs be, hold the threads at the back to help get over that little plastic bit at the top of the zip, and then keeping a little bit of tension. Work your way down. So as you can see, I'm constantly keeping everything flat as I go. I'm moving my dress, making sure that it's all nice and flat. So I have no pins now at all, but I have my notch on my zip and my notch on my dress, so I know exactly where I want those to line up to. And again, I'm making sure that my last line of stitching lines up exactly with the stitching seam of my dress. So you have to try and kind of move that one out of the way, pop that one down, everything's lining up. And as I say, because the zipper foot has a lovely kind of short foot, you can really get very close, which is brilliant. Okay. And we just pop that out. And then to actually close the zip at this stage, you need to pop the puller through that little gap. It's always a bit fiddly, but it actually does work. Okay. So in a way, the better job you've done, the tighter it will be to get it out of there. So you have to hold the zip at the back and the seam allowance as you're pulling. And there you go. So tiny, tiny little bubble there, but that'll press out. And as you can see, it's really tight. Like even when I pull that, you can't see the zip at all. And we're perfectly matched up here at the top as well. So that's what we're looking for. So that's how to insert your zip using an invisible zipper foot.